This country is a vampire. No, like literally. Welcome to the Most Censored News, and welcome to our temporary hostage situation looking background. So you already know that things are not good for a lot of Americans. As of 2 months ago, 64% of Americans said they were living paycheck to paycheck. And even if we exclude the million or so homeless across the country, recent data shows that approximately 5.3 million households are behind on their home mortgage payments. And other reports have shown around 130 million Americans admitted an inability to pay for basic needs like food, healthcare, housing, or utilities. And that number is before the pandemic began, which is like saying it felt hot in here before a fire burned down the building. So the fine citizens of our late-stage empire have resorted to drastic means to make ends meet. Can you guess what it is? No, it's not sex trafficking or black market organ deals or selling fake nuclear material you pass off as real on Etsy. It's none of those. I mean, it is. It is all those, but that's not what I'm talking about at the moment. No, I'm talking about blood. You have it, and corporate America wants to suck it. And they do. They do suck it. The U.S. supplies fully 70% of the world's plasma, which is the liquid portion of your blood. And that accounts for over 2.5% of all U.S. exports. And all this time, I thought U.S. exports just consisted of missiles, Beyonce's line of male bikinis, and pride and ignorance. But no, it's also blood, sucked from the poor. Blood now represents more of the U.S. export market than corn or soybeans. The number of collection centers in the United States has more than doubled since 2005. Selling your blood to try to survive in dystopia is a booming business these days. What says well-functioning society like scores of destitute, struggling humans lining up outside vampire corporations aching to devour their internal juices? I ask you that. The colloids blood plasma market is set to see even more massive growth by 2029. And as with most businesses, it's dominated by just a few rotund, parasitic corporations. Grifols, CSL Plasma, Takeda's BioLife, and Octapharma are huge players in the blood collection space, particularly plasma, and donors are compensated for it. Okay, Octapharma? You just want us to view you as some fucking Bond villain, don't you? But yes, that's right, donors are compensated. Don't worry, we pay them as we drain their life force. Much like in the black market organ trade, people are paid cold, hard cash. That makes the transaction totally cool and not disgusting or predatory or immoral at all. One of the reasons the US represents over 70% of the market is that most countries have banned paying people for their blood because, ethics. But the US apparently has no such qualms. In fact, we sold the thin traces which remained of our ethics 15 years ago in exchange for a bottle of malt liquor and a pretty cool spoiler on our car. One of the many ethical issues with our all-American vampiric behavior is that only a certain type of person tends to be willing to sell their internal fluids for roughly $30 a bottle. I'll give you a hint. It's not rich people. Rarely do you see Elon Musk or Hillary Clinton or Patrick Mahomes stumbling into a blood bank to see if they can score a few bucks. No, it's poor people. The blood banks are almost completely filled with very poor people. And yes, part of that has to do with the economic conditions required for someone to take that step. But it also has to do with who those corporations target. The centers are never in a good part of town, always somewhere they can get a never-ending supply of poor people desperate for that $100 a week. On top of just the area of town and the type of marketing, the blood companies have tricks to get people to donate more, much like a casino gets people to keep playing by offering them free drinks or a hotel room or tickets to a Carrot Top show where he's swinging from a trapeze without his pants on or whatever. One regular blood donor told Alan McLeod of Mint Press, the price set for your plasma is based on a whim. For example, one place I donated the first 5 times, you get $75. Then you get $20, $20, $30, $50, $25. They know you're desperate. And if you don't do your $30 donation, you won't get your $50 next time. So it's not actually based on a whim. It's based on a careful manipulation. Donate this time so you can score the higher paying donation next time around. Then donate 2 more times at low prices to get a chance at a $75 blood sucking. Man, oh man, do the rewards ever stop? Using seemingly random pricing creates a gambling-like feeling in which donors don't know exactly when they'll score big. So they'll keep giving each week to try to get the big money that they desperately need. Another donor said, "We were poor, all of us in there. You could easily tell that we were on the lower end of the economic bracket. They incentivize you with bonuses." This is literally corporate America, which owns our government, sucking the life force out of poor Americans. It apparently wasn't enough that they had extracted everything of value out of our environment, our labor, our time, our spirit, our passion, our loved ones. It has come to a time when they need to grab our internal juices, the actual cells that allow us to live. And don't for a minute think there aren't ill effects from donating that much blood. Donors have a lower protein count in their blood, putting them at a greater risk of infections and liver and kidney disorders. Many regulars suffer from near permanent fatigue and are borderline anemic. All of those adverse effects, of course, can decrease your lifespan, perhaps significantly. So when I say corporate America is sucking out poor Americans' life force, I actually mean it literally. But I'm tired of being a negative Nancy. I do that too much. I'm always the negative Nancy at the party, often wear the name tag, Nancy. But I'm tired of that. So I'm just so critical all the time. This time, I want to come with a positive adjoinder. I want to yes and the American vampiric state. So I have a business proposal. Hear me out. With so many struggling people across this country, dollar stores have grown extensively in the past few years, like an out-of-control parasite. At the start of 2022, Dollar General and Dollar Tree, which owns Family Dollar, together operated more than 34,000 stores in the U.S., more than McDonald's, Starbucks, Target, and Walmart combined. I didn't even know there could be more of anything than McDonald's and Starbucks combined, except ants in my college dorm room. Turns out if you steal hamburgers from the cafeteria and store them under your bed in a large pile for a couple of weeks so you can have them later, let's just say me and the ants were the only ones who thought that was a good idea. On top of the 34,000 dollar stores in America, Dollar plans to grow to 51,000 locations in coming years. And just like the blood banks, they cater to poor Americans, which is a booming industry. Because unlike, trees or fish in the sea, there's a growing number of poor Americans. But dollar stores are a little different than blood banks in that they also help cause poverty by destroying small businesses around a community. Small businesses who can't compete with $1 deodorant or $2 hair dryers or 54-cent off-brand factory reject condoms. Every time you have sex, you also get the excitement of rolling the dice. So here's my business proposal. Dollar store and blood bank in one. Cut out the middleman. Rather than force poor people to go out and try to find enough money to eat or buy necessities, just suck their blood right there at the store. A customer comes in, picks out their can of tuna fish or off-brand paper towels or anti-natural GMO-filled tomatoes with an extra side of pesticide. They go up to the cashier and then he just jabs a needle right in their neck, sucks them dry, sends them on their way. It's like getting your groceries for free if you don't count your plasma. Nothing wrong with that, right? Just the innovation of late-stage capitalism at its best. Hell, vampire movies and TV shows are big. We'll have the cashier dress up as one just to add to the excitement. It'll be like Comic-Con grocery shopping and a minor industrial equipment accident all in one. You can even throw in some specials for local customers/victims. You don't even need a punch card. They can just count the holes in your arm. Come on, this is a billion-dollar idea. Who's coming with me? If you can believe it, this story somehow gets more horrifying. As Alan McLeod reported, Big Pharma is particularly interested in the blood of the young. Teenager blood is in high demand in, of all places, Silicon Valley, where anti-aging technologies are the latest trend. One company, Ambrosia, charges $8,000 per treatment to aging tech executives, infusing them with the blood of the young. And infusing our reality with the plot lines of a dark, soul-sucking horror movie. That's this week's episode of The Most Censored News. These come out every week, along with interviews that I do with amazing people like Stella Assange, Scott Ritter, Richard Wolff, Chris Hedges, Margaret Kimberly. Check it all out at youtube.com/behindtheheadlines. As many of you know, our videos, this channel is incredibly suppressed. We are held back in every way by the censorship of the big tech platforms, which are aligned with our government and are often taking commands from or giving commands to our government. So it really comes down to whether you guys want to see this show continue. I hope you will. Join us at patreon.com/behindtheheadlines, and I'll see you next week. Keep fighting.